All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the May 4th Agent Sandbox meeting. I'm your host today, Janet, and we have a few topics on the agenda today. So first, a few announcements. We have a few 0.4 releases available. So I linked it in the meeting notes. If you are interested, you can take a look. You can see what's new in the Agent Sandbox new releases. And to give you a quick sneak peek of that, we have a bunch of enhancement on the Python SDK. And, and then there's also some auto cleanup features, some optimization and stability improvement to the worm pool, and some latency improvements in a few metrics. And for 0.4.3, we also have a TTL seconds after finish field introduced to the sandbox for cleanup after it's not used. And then a few storage updates, and then a bunch of other enhancements that you can read. I don't need to call them out individually, but basically, please give them a try and let us know your feedback in the either in Slack or in the GitHub repo. And then we have a few discussion topics. The first one is about the Helm operator.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, everyone. Just about this, I saw that the Helm charts were added, merged inside the Agent Sandbox operator. So, again, to continue the discussion we had last time to try to publish this operator for the operator hub. I was trying to create the operator from the Helm charts, but I think this is actually not really a good idea. It's not really working, simply because I discovered it today actually. If you use the operator based on the Helm charts, this is usually useful when you don't have a reconcile loop inside the controller, which you actually there is inside the main controller. So like deploying an operator that deploys the Helm charts and reconciles by running Helm upgrade every single time is not really a good idea. So that's unfortunately not really going to work. So my other approach was, instead of having to change the whole directory structure, we could, if it's a good idea, we could try to add a new folder similar to Helm, where the operator SDK creates the whole structure that we want, and then we symlink the CRD, the roles, and everything that is actually used in the Kubernetes folder. Otherwise, I could try to create a new repo, which is only the Agent Sandbox operator, basically, which has this folder structure and then just pulls the main controller and runs it. And so that was the option. And if you want, I can show you very, very quickly what does it mean to have an operator. I have an OpenShift. I managed to install it via this one of these pull requests that I have. And you can see the difference is simply graphically. You can see you can install the operator via a single click, and also the updates are could be automatically pulled. Like every time we release and somebody has installed, it will be upgrade automatically to the new version. That's and if you want, I can show you.
Yeah, I can make you a co-host so that you can share your screen.
Okay, let me see. One moment. Can you see my screen?
Um,
We see. We see
Yeah.
just that you are sharing your entire screen bar, at least here.
yeah.
Okay. So I may have issues with the. Yeah. Sorry. Now is it better?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So all right. So yeah, basically this is OpenShift, by the way, and yeah, what I did, I installed manually the operator, so you can see that yeah, it's just graphically you can see that there is something, an icon here is missing, and these are the provider APIs, and you can already click on Sandbox, and it's this is one side is more graphical, and you can just write here there is also a form view to make it more user friendly. But the cool stuff is that if we manage to publish it also on Kubernetes, obviously there is this operator hub thing which allows you to search for operators. So you don't have to look for the repo on Git, but you just ideally you just write agent sandbox. Of course now, yeah, there is. And yeah, you will see something like this, and you can only with one click you can install it. So that's what it means to have an operator. And when you actually run it in the pods, you see the controller. These other two stuff are just created because I deployed manually. But all you can see is the controller, which is the usual controller built from the repo. I actually used the latest release, and yeah, it's a controller.
Yeah, I think adding it as a subfolder in the repo could work. We can try that first.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
realized that maybe changing the whole structure was a bit too much.
We may want to put it under like a dist folder. I like the idea of checking it in, but yeah, just something to indicate that it's but yeah, no, I like it. I think we should probably just check in maybe all of them and then figure
And
out how to consolidate.
Yeah.
I'm trying very hard to not duplicate stuff, because right now I know that you have a Helm that also has CRDs, and then we have the K8S which has also the CRDs, for example. So if we add the operator, would be a third duplication. So I think the latest attempt I made has symlinks. You need to change a bit the how it's customized to allow to go outside the root folder. But in this way, we can use symlinks, so we avoid having another duplication and yeah, having such issues.
I was thinking about this actually. I think I brought this up previously. Like I think the duplication of the YAML affects, the developers, but there are a lot more users, and I think they're maybe more important than like our development experience. So I think it's fine to duplicate within reason. Like I think it's fine to duplicate things, and we should optimize for like that great experience you showed with the operator hub or the OpenShift installer thing. That's awesome, right? And I think that's what matters a lot more than my purity, my feelings of purity about how the repo is organized.
Yeah,
Thank
but I
you.
think I also agree with you. I mean, also I will be fine to have only 2 copies, but now I think we have a 3. So I think it's gonna be a nightmare, because it's very, very, very easy to get into these issues. So uh, I mean, up to you, but we can discuss also in the merge request. But I will update one, the probably the main one, and we can. I think it works also with symlinks. So I guess if it works, we can take it.
Yeah, I
But
think as long as we have CI so that we don't yes, it is easy to make a mistake. So let's have CI or whatever it is just to check that, hey, you forgot to make generate dist or whatever it is, and I think that will be fine.
Okay, so even better. Okay. And if you need any help or you want me to work on also the CI to implement this such a thing, probably need some pointer, but I'm happy also to help with this.
Thank you.
Thanks. The next one is about a few beta API blockers. The first one is that we want to make some changes to, for example, make service creation optional and make it opt-in. So by default, every sandbox has a mapping atlas service today, but after talking to a few customers, we realized that not every sandbox needs a service. And also, if we don't create one service per sandbox, there will be better scalability without that. And so I think that change will be a beta API blocker because that's a breaking change. And then we also want to add some suspend resume features to the APIs. Today we have the spec replicas field for that feature. So basically, if you set the replicas to 0, it means it means suspend, and it will just kill the running pod. And then you can resume by setting it back to 1. But then maybe we'll want something more sophisticated, other different flavors of suspending and resuming more API fields for maybe how we want to resume from a backup. So we want to make some changes to this API, and we don't know if replicas is the best option. Maybe we want a different field. That will be a breaking change. So that will block the beta API. And anything else from the community or from anyone? Let's see, there's a chat message.
So, Janet, regarding the suspend resume APIs, what we can do as next step is we can start with the KEP. We can discuss as an issue and see what fields are good to introduce today versus leaving enough space for a lot more fields to be added in the future. Because like we've discussed, this is it's an elaborate feature with lots of knobs. So it won't be as simple like spec.replicas is the one extreme, and the other extreme is we'll have one knob for every single setting, and we'll likely meet somewhere in the middle with the option to always extend more towards the right.
Yeah, we also have the idea of maybe we want soft pausing, soft suspending. Instead of killing the pod, we shrink the resource usage so that the pod is still running. It just doesn't have a lot of resource requests, and then we resume it later. And there's also a proposal for providing different plugins for different platform or cloud providers for the storage backend. And I know that in the open source community, there is a checkpoint restore cap going on in the core upstream. So maybe we want to align with that as well, if that's that becomes stable.
Sounds good. Thank you.
I like the idea a lot of a Kepto that describes maybe like if there were no constraints, what would the perfect API look like? And then we can map that to what we have and see the delta, right? Like, but just imagine there's nothing exists and you can do whatever you want. I think the working group Checkpoint Restore just presented their API. So we can to SIG architecture on Thursday, so we can look at that. I also want to mention, I think the next two, by the way, are also potentially breaking API changes. So we might want to look at those together.
Can you include me into the meeting or I don't know, like the decisions for the checkpoint and restore one so that I can create a cap of that?
You mean the SIG architecture meeting? I can try to find the link to it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think they just presented it. It's not approved yet, so it's still under discussion.
I see.
Yeah, it's a long poll effort. Hi, this is Mike Brown. I work on it. So, yep. It's just, their context of suspending a pod is completely different than what you guys are talking about doing with replicas. It's actually pausing the pod and all of its containers first, storing away the metadata, that sort of thing, right? With the potential to support additional additional use cases in the future, everything from migration to other hosts. A lot of stuff going on there, but it's going to take a while to get that working. We have checkpoint restore for containers already. If you wanted to actually start prototyping what it would mean, which would be useful in your cases when you only have one container and no sidecars required.
We have a hand, Chingy.
I have another topic. Would you already finish the previous one? So for my you mentioned that we will make the service like could you go up a little bit? Yeah. So that will be without one service per sandbox. So I think that's also related to the issue 342. So as previously we have some discussion there if we will use the handless DNS or something. I think was also related to that. Once you make it option, I think this issue should also be resolved as well.
Does the 63 character limit only come from the service? Is that what or does it come from somewhere else as well?
I think it's from service.
Thank you. I guess while we're here, are there use cases? Are there use cases for services? Like we know that there's a cost to the service. Can we ask the community as represented here today? Like, do you actually use that service? Like, is it important to you? Do you want to create your own service? That sort of thing? Like, should we just get rid of the service? Maybe would be my question. Let's make the provocative statement. Let's get rid of the service, and then who would object? Type thing.
There used to be a scream test at Microsoft at some point. They'd shut down X number of machines, and unless someone shouted, they'd keep them off. So
I'm trying to adopt the provocative statement because it's certainly early on the West Coast. So because you can always create your own service, right? You can always do that.
Right.
You can always create a service that hits based on labels, right? So you could create a service that will hit all your sandboxes, and you can address the sandbox individually by pod IP if you go and look that up. And I think we added that to status.
Right. Then in stateful set, service creation is also done by the user. They just create their own service. They point to the stateful set in a field called service name.
And the stateful set controller does something, right? Whereas I don't think if we did that, I don't think we would do anything. Right?
There's no status reporting.
There's no, I guess we could do status, but we're not going to create -0 endpoints or whatever it is. We're just okay.
And
is there any consequence if you run with Kata containers or gvisor? If you get rid of the service? I was thinking that I don't know enough to make a point, but I was thinking same for pausing or resuming a pod. Still thinking.
we could probably, let's suppose we just made it an opt-in feature. We could find out whether people used it, and we could also deprecate it and be like, hey, do you want to use this, and see if anyone screams, to your point, Aditya. And then I think we could probably enforce the limit only if users opted into the service, if that was the case. And yes, I like the scream test.
Yeah,
that's funny.
It was a real thing.
Okay.
One thing, Justin, I think it'll be important to kind of share the motivation behind the suggestion. Like, as we're thinking about scalability, as we're thinking about like massive scalability, we expect this to be a limiting factor, and that's why we've discussed if this makes sense to just make it optional.
100%.
Just for
we know it is a limiting factor. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. That's it.
I was just going to, and we know it is a limiting factor, not least because there's an IP address, right? So that is expensive.
Yeah. There's a hand. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Just a question. Is it just the service that is the limiting factor? Because I think like with Sandbox, pod gets created, service gets created. Like, do we hit any other limits in the length of the name?
So specifically you're asking specifically about the name length, right? Because I don't know. I think Chen Yu raised that point that it might only be the Sandbox. Sorry, it might only be the service, but I don't know if anyone else knows. Like, there's a limit on label.
Yeah.
These values.
Yeah.
Which one is it?
The values,
Label
but
values.
we don't use that we don't use the resource name label value.
Okay.
I mean, we should eventually have some kind of a limit, and that probably needs to be like whatever recommendation from Kubernetes goes. Like, they shouldn't be infinite. So because now discussion is going, should we not offer a service because of this limitation? Because not offering service, I think, could be bad for like first impressions and people who want to spin up stuff quickly instead of having to create their own service. At some point, someone will ask, why do I have to do it myself? Why doesn't it play nicely with Kubernetes as it used to do?
I do think there are two things going on, right? I mean, I think Kubernetes has a 255 character limit or something like that. So yeah, but then there's an additional limit on service names and possibly other things, which is like 63 characters. That's inherited from DNS
length. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't think the scalability question, I think, is separate. It's we would, if a lot of people don't want a service because it consumes one IP address from the service sider every sandbox, and because it's not just a service, it's also endpoints and all of that. So it's a relatively expensive thing that we know impacts scalability both of the API server and of the service sider. So there's the scalability argument on one side. And then there's also the 63 character limit, which I don't think I wouldn't call it a scalability limit type thing, but so maybe we can sort of deal with both together. But yeah, I think that the scalability comes from not having a service at all.
Yeah. If you put it that way, then I kind of agree. It's definitely so. A lot of cases will have run their own service or even something else. Really depends what people use. But I think there should be still an option to create a service out of the box for I wouldn't say for simpler setups, but more like out of the box experience.
Okay.
Now, it's just a decision of if it's that important.
So having a field might work, and we can figure out whether it's a Boolean or whatever. And
maybe we want to make it opt-in, right?
I think opt-in is
like, don't create a service by default, and then if you want, you specify.
I think that will encourage people to go the right direction. Which might bring us neatly onto the next topic.
Yes.
In our 2 minutes.
Yeah. So I created an issue just to gather some more thoughts and discussion on introducing like a network policy management for the core level sandbox. We currently have network policy management field in the extensions for Sandbox template and Sandbox claims. So I wanted to put out the discussion on introducing the policy management toggle into the sandbox spec, like in the core sandbox spec. That's, I guess, the option one, which is straightforward to implement. Or on the other hand, option two involves the creation of a new CRD, which would be a network class, and we can reuse this class among all the core sandboxes created. So that's like a higher level idea, but I guess taking a step back is, what are your thoughts on having a network management at the core sandbox level?
I mean, I think that's one for the community, right? Like, is it valuable for the community type thing, right? Like, rather than so.
And for this, you are proposing something that's, is it optional or is mandatory?
I think we could have it optional as well, similar to the behavior that we have in Sandbox templates. And yeah.
I think this one we can also share with the community to see if there's usage or requirement for this to get more feedback. Then we can quickly talk about the last topic and then we can end the meeting. Sure, T?
Yes. So I have a cap for adding a gRPC contract for the runtime server. I saw. So I created this cap. So I was looking for the review for this. But the main idea is because since we have now multiple clients, like a Go client and a Python client, we just want to make sure that we don't have like major drifts between those two. So all the clients basically enforce this proto going forward. So it's a additional proto service for the runtime. Yeah. It's pretty simple right now. It includes like basic methods like executing commands, whatever we have in the client, but just enforcing this as a gRPC contract.
The way I think about it is we have sort of two levels of clients. We have the pure Kubernetes clients, and then we have the sort of more opinionated clients on top that assume a proto.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be great to get the ability to like tunnel a proto request to a sandbox in the base client, in the sort of generic client. And I think that the actual proto definitions probably belong in the more opinionated clients. But we can absolutely, I think getting this in and we should all take a look at this. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
In terms of, but let's try to honor that.
Consistent.
Yeah. And let's try to honor that division between the generic thing for people that want to use a gRPC API, and then the more opinionated one for people that want to use our gRPC API.
Yeah, I think I saw some comment from Barney to use NVD, ENVD. I did not completely understand that, but yeah, feel free to like comment on this and then we can go from there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, that's all for today. Thanks everyone for coming. See you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.